Okay, another question I got was, what was the other question? I think the last video I did was, and sorry, I'm sitting in my living room strangely. Yeah, oh my gosh, this is so rough. I'm gonna have to. Hi everyone, so I wanted to do a little update and answer some questions I got on Instagram. I might do this a little bit informal vlog-like. I did recently, 2 days ago, get a new camera, but I don't have SD cards yet, so I will hopefully be filming and taking better content soon. I need to practice on it. But this video is going to be mainly about training, and then if I have any more questions, I'll answer them. So more about contortion than anything else. I think the last video I did was in 2023. I'm not sure. So I'll kind of update in the last year what I've been doing, and now my training split or whatever. In the summer it's different, and I think the seasons are different, and obviously also the progression in your training. So now I've been doing contortion for like 5 years with coaches, and 1 year without coaches, which I don't know if I count necessarily. I guess I was just doing whatever. And I've said this before, that getting a coach is really, really helpful because you can't see yourself, and it'll help you work on technique and improve a little bit better and quicker if you have a really good coach and someone that's ideally a professional and doing the things that you want to do. So since I met my main coach, Anna Ostapenko, Ukrainian hand balancer, she's gorgeous, performer, and an amazing coach, very body nerd like me, and I think it's just been really nice working with her. I feel like she works the same way that my brain works, so that's why it's nice to get a coach that you jive with in different ways. And I started training with her in the spring of 2022. Then I went on a contract. I think I talked about this in my last little vlog. I don't know what we're gonna call it. I got injured on this contract, my chin, and I lost a lot of strength because we're doing 4 shows a day, 6 days a week. So it was pretty intense on the body. And when I came back to Montreal in mid to late August of 2022, I started back with her, I think in the last week of August, first week of September. And that's when we consider I really started, because I had lost most of the strength that I had worked on before this contract for hand balancing specifically. So 2022, 2023 was really focusing on training. That I did go through a lot of tougher stuff with my body and anxiety and things like that. And if people want me to talk about that, I can. I had never really experienced panic attacks before the pandemic, and social anxiety, which I'm a pretty social person, but I did experience that coming out of the pandemic in 2023. But I've been going back to therapy since the winter and feeling really good. So yeah, and for training, so right now in the summer I'm training at a gym near, so like a normal person gym, and I've been going down just for budget to 1 class a week with my coach, where we really do everything, and training almost every day. I try to give myself like a few rest days during the week. It's mainly how my body feels, so I don't know, I've never been a really good at scheduling, more at listening and intuiting what my body feels. So some days I'll have gone out the night before and have had very little sleep, which I've been just really social and doing stuff this summer, so sleep sometimes lacks, and I can't really function with no sleep. So I have been sometimes just doing conditioning, and I find that gym has really helped with that, because even if I don't feel like it, I'll like walk on the treadmill, get warm, do a little bit of weights and training and physio stuff that I do just to help strengthen my shoulders, work on this little issue that I had with my right shoulder, always wanting to internally rotate, like turn in with hand balancing. So working my serratus and lats and all that. And my coach gives me exercises that are sort of Pilates physio based, which are really, really useful for me. And so, yeah, so I'll have maybe 1 or 2 days where I'm doing more bendy skills, but I have to say that I'm just so in love with hand balancing these last few months, or more than that, I guess, since the winter, spring. And because I've gotten stronger and I feel more stable, so I sort of do handstands most days of the week. Some days I'll focus more on straight handstands, so belly against the wall, sort of straight hand balancing drills, and then I'll try to focus on one skill I'm working on for each day. So I've been working on my split press and different skills, and I'll sort of be like, oh, I'll just work on this and do 3-4 sets of that one skill per training. So I recommend doing that, because if you try to do everything, you will be really exhausted and you might hurt yourself. And then, I don't know, when I trained a lot, I felt that I didn't want to train. I just felt unmotivated or just too exhausted, and I didn't look forward to my trainings. It just felt heavy in my mind. So I really recommend making it easier if you're kind of person that's I think it's good for everybody actually. If you just tell yourself, I just have to do these little things, and then usually when you're warmed up, and most of the time you feel you'll do more. So that's my training split. I know and I've said this in previous videos before, that it's not super clear, and I think that working with a coach and working with the way that you like to work. So some people do like to have a very formulaic, numbers based, and I'm more intuitive with these things. So listening to my body is really important, and I don't really like to have numbers and focus on, oh, I have to do these sets and reps. I prefer listening to my body more organically, and it's been serving me well because I don't want to feel exhausted. Before the summer, I was doing 2 classes a week with my coach. So 1 bendy handstand class or contortion handstand class, and 1 straight handstand class. So we would do, for bendy handstands, I warm up my back a lot more, and we do our presses, like 1 leg press, different skills. And then sort of, if my back gets tired through the class, which usually it does, like we'll do half the class where I'm doing bridge press, so from back bend, and then half the class where I'm pressing from the front or kicking up. And then the straight handstand class would be, I warm up mostly my legs and my pike. Funnily enough, it's harder for me to warm up sort of bending forward than it is bending back, where it had been in the winter, and I really worked a lot on that to balance that, because all the contortion I did a lot of Pilates and ballet before, so obviously my front body was strong, but not handstand strong obviously, but it's helpful to work both. And I was sort of not scared. I had times where I was worried that I would lose a lot of my back mobility if I worked too much on the front, and in a way you do maybe, but it balances out your body, and my body feels so much better now that I'm training with Anna and looking at structural things, so and working intelligently. So that's question 1, and I'll just look at the questions and edit this, so I have 2 questions. So we had, the other question was what muscles you work on in a press or a bendy press. And honestly, in contortion and most skills, you're gonna work everything, so a lot, and it sort of depends. So with contortion bridge press, there's a few different technical ways to do it depending on how flexible your back is. So I don't know if I'll be able to like explain this as well, but you can sort of lean back into the shoulders and do what a lot of people call Mexican, or more of like an open shoulder. So that would be a lot more shoulder strength, lats and serratus, and ideally you'd be sort of externally rotating the shoulders and not sitting into the traps. You kind of want to use your whole shoulder girdle rather than just the upper traps. I used to do this, and it's only through working with my coach Anna Ostapenko that we really talk about like using that whole shoulder girdle, and instead of just being up in those upper traps. Now that's just a technical way, that's how I'm learning now versus other techniques. It's not to say that one is better than the other. You have to just figure out what works for your body. I had a lot of headaches and fatigue and soreness in my shoulders, and I also found that I know it's aesthetic, but I'm a model, so and a ballet dancer, and I care about this aesthetics a little bit, or a lot. I'm a girl, like, in the world. I found I got kind of bulky in my shoulders, and I really hated that, and it made me really dislike training handstands. But when you're working more through your center and your core, much like the principles in Pilates, you're sort of working, it feels more balanced and it feels lighter and much more open in the neck. So in the presses that I'm working now with Anna, sometimes we more lean back into use the shoulders just to get that nice tall shape, and then lift up into your bendy handstand. You can also sort of pull your head forward and scoop up. That's the first way I learned how to do bendy press, a little bit easier. I did sink a lot in my shoulders, but like I said, it's a very long learning process, and it will take time for most people. It just takes time. But strengthening the shoulders, I'd say working with a hand balancer is pretty key, or someone that does have really, really strong presses, and that's key to getting strong. And then doing the work and doing a lot of shoulder exercises, holding your preps. So that would be just in a bridge where you're thinking about pressing or working towards that. It takes time, and I can tell you that I spent I don't know how many hours shaking in my bridge to get my press, and even now I'm sort of reworking a different kind of press, so it's challenging. But hey, we're here. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it, so you have to just focus on what's good for you. I don't know if there was anything else. I know most people ask me for how much I train and things like that. I live a pretty active lifestyle, and I like I said, I've been going to the gym more, but I can't really tell people what to do or to do what I do. I feel like things have been lighter and easier, like I don't have to things are more efficient basically when you get stronger. But I tell my students a lot to really, at the beginning it's going to be really challenging because you have to do so many like cobras to strengthen your back, and so many abs and so much conditioning, and it's going to take you sometimes a lot longer to warm up. But once those muscles are strong, they kind of fire quickly, and you know how to get there a little bit more quickly, and it becomes easier in some ways or more efficient. So I see some people that say that sort of accumulate their non-negotiables, so things that they need to do every training, and then that means that your training is like 4 hours long. And of course I have trainings that are sometimes like 3-4 hours long, but mainly because I'm doing other things around that, so working on my physio conditioning, some abs and things like that. But recently my trainings are more like sometimes an hour and a half when I've been really busy, so sometimes I just have to cram things in. And I've always liked that sort of less is more, just being present, doing better quality versus quantity. And I found that my body's responding really well to that. I don't feel, touch wood, I don't feel like I have any major injuries right now because of it. Whereas when I was training 4 hours a day, 5-6 days a week for contortion, I just felt even on edge emotionally. So I recommend like really not scaling back, but evaluating what your capacities are, and then always evolving and developing your training. And that doesn't mean you need to necessarily, of course, if you're a professional, taking the classes with coaches regularly can really help. And most professionals do, at least if you don't go to circus school or training school. But you can, when I train people, I give a lot of homework, and I do some check-ins and things like that, so it can be helpful if you just focus on doing the homework. Your coaches will know and help you get through those problems. What it really takes is you doing the work and having really, really good body awareness and consciousness of your body, your breath, your muscular engagement, how and where you can fine-tune that, what needs to release and what needs to engage, because your body is your instrument and you're trying to be very refined with it. And sometimes what I see lacking in people is that awareness of the body, that I cannot guide people, I can guide people towards, but it's you that needs to sort of explore all that and kind of confront fears. If you're afraid, confront your breath and take your time, because a lot of people sort of rush and they just want the skill so badly, but they don't realize that working on your breath and body awareness is super, super important for something like a chest stand, for example. And I see a lot of students wanting chest stands, and contortion is, I don't want to say dangerous, because it obviously takes a lot of training and stuff, but it's not like Pilates, yoga, strength training that you can and should be doing frequently, and it's good for you, especially all together, moving your body. Contortion is not for everyone. It's obviously there would be a lot more contortionists if it was for everyone. Mobility and strengthening end ranges is great for everyone, but sitting on your head puts a lot of pressure on your vertebra. I know from training a lot of contortion, even with super diligent abdominal Pilates work and over a decade of training Pilates before starting contortion, I still have vertebrae that are like pushed inwards, and some that are stiffer than others, and I've been evaluated by different physios and stuff and osteopaths for that. So and that's caused issues where I feel it in my glute and my leg actually, but it's actually in my back. So it's, if you're a pro athlete or artistic athlete, you're going to, I don't want to say suffer, but it's hard. It's going to be hard on your body, and you have to be aware of those consequences and the interplay between those two things, and it has to be worth it for you. So yeah, you have to choose wisely with that, and but if you love it, you'll kind of sort of gravitate towards it. But always remember to focus on strengthening your body, and those things that are really difficult and challenging that you don't like cobras and slow roll to chest stand and all the strength kind of aspects of your training, are the most important thing and the most boring thing usually, and the thing that you will repeat all the time regardless of your level. I do it all the time. I obviously don't post it all the time because I'm usually on my phone trying to distract myself. Not all the time. I have music playing, but I also don't film it because I don't find it that interesting. And I filmed it a lot before and different reasons like that. But know that there's a lot of hours of doing that. Just like any professional in anything that you do, you will have sort of not so interesting times. So I think those answer those questions. I'm just gonna check if there's any more questions. But was recovery and how I do recovery. What I do for recovery. Honestly, this summer, just lying at the pool and swimming, it's been my recovery of choice. Yeah, just lying down. But in the winter when I needed when I feel like my body needs it. And I was trying to save money in, I think before Christmas, before the New Year, and I was really stressed about it. And then in the spring, I think, no, it was February or something, I was just like, I'm not traveling anytime soon, so F it, I'm just going to spend money on taking care of my body because I wasn't feeling great. And I got some massages and osteopathy, and one session of acupuncture with the dry needling with the electrical currents. I've talked about this before, I think, at least in stories. So follow me on Instagram. And yeah, and that really helped to just relax my body. So I think there's just following the seasons, because in the summer I feel it's less heavy. I'm moving around more. I don't feel like I need as much physiotherapy and massage and stuff like this. Of course, I have some degree of hypermobility, so sometimes releasing too much actually causes more issues for me, because the body that is hypermobile sometimes clings to try to hold and stabilize a kind of loose structure, and then you feel those muscles really tight, and then you want to release them, but then they tighten more because they're like, oh my god, no one else is doing the job, we need to really stay super tight. And what's helped me most in the last few years was focusing on doing recovery days where I'm focusing on really small muscles, really small movements, working on deep core engagement, deep engagement of little stabilizing muscles to strengthen them, that help strengthen my whole structure and take pressure off different things that might be hurting. So for example, with my right shoulder, it sort of wanted always to, and it sort of still does, want to internally rotate, especially when I'm in contortion handstands, so bend your handstands rather than straight. And so I need to work on the external rotators, rotator cuff muscles, and serratus anterior, and I have different little physio exercises to do for that. They look like nothing, they don't feel like I'm doing that much, and if you're not super attuned to your body, they probably wouldn't feel like anything, but I'm very attuned to exactly like how to engage pelvic floor, transverse abs, connected with everything. And those light days where I'm focusing on physio Pilates exercises, that's what makes the days where I'm working on bigger, harder skills easier and lighter and more efficient, which we just talked about. So yeah. Anyway, I think I'll leave it at that so it's not too long. And I know someone asked to do a French one. I will. Maybe I'll do it on my new camera. Donc pardon, c'est en anglais, mais je parle en français, donc je peux faire ça. Et puis if you want like a life update, if people want me to just chat, I love chatting. It just takes time for me to sit down, and I don't know where to look on the camera because I'm just filming on my phone on the reverse screen. But I do have the tools like this to be more of a YouTuber, maybe. I don't know. Just follow me on Instagram. I post a lot there and I share a lot, and I'll do more questions if people are interested. Comment your questions if you have any, and I'll do another video soon, hopefully. Anyway, hope everyone has a great day.